I did.
And in what ways?
Just, the mentality of next man up. Find out on Thursday that we're going to be down the big three. They're not going to be able to play. And 6 and 86 are going to have to step up, and 26 was going to have to step up. He was going to have to carry the load. And Paris was going to be down, so we knew we weren't going to be at full strength, but they didn't flinch. And they came out with the mindset of they decided that they were going to play to win, and in the first half, that's what you saw. And so, that's a positive that you can show them what they're capable of. When you just show up and quit worrying and just play free, right? Play for each other. So definitely a glimpse there, and the resilience there at the end of the fourth quarter. But then also we see a growth opportunity. In the third quarter, we talk about competitive stamina a lot, and football comes down to 5, 6, 7 plays in the course of the game. And we didn't make those plays in the third quarter. That put us in the position that we were going into the fourth quarter, trying to come from behind in a 2-score game.
Mike, then Greg.
Tony, you mentioned that fight in the fourth quarter, the last touchdown, Billy Kemp limps off with an injury, then makes the 14-yard conversion on third down. Brennan, that didn't look like an easy physical touchdown to score head first through. What does that say about those guys, that they have that in them?
Right, I think you've seen that all year long, that these young men got some pride to them. They're competitive. They want to win. But I've also said, you got to learn how to win. And I think today, the guys learned or got closer to learning how to win. But there's no quit, no fight. Got to play 4 quarters. Doesn't matter. Again, going back to the growth mindset, we talked a lot about that. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It's all about the next play and an opportunity to do better. So really proud of those guys, the way that they fought. But man, this one hurts a lot because they were so close, and just got to encourage the guys to continue to persevere through the adversity because the joy's on the other side.
And then along the same lines, those last few plays defensively, you look very frustrated with the penalties. John said he coaches them to finish. So where's the balance?
Just got to be smart. Got to be smart. Don't want any personal fouls. Don't want anybody ejected from the game. In that situation. We're trying to see if we can force them to make a mistake, but at the same time too, you got to be smart right there. And the one thing we talk about is winning and losing with class. And they're at the end of the game. Because then it spills over and you see the guys getting each other's face after the game. We don't have any time for that. When we win, we want to be humble, and we want to be humble in defeat as well.
Are the issues to the 3 receivers long term? Does it vary?
I think Wicks is probably the longer term of all of them with the bone bruise that he has coming off of that. But it's nothing that's we believe is going to be too long term. It's more going to be pain tolerance as he can come back. KT was a decision that trying to do what's best for him and the football team, and we felt like not risking it this week and being able to give him a little bit of time to recover. But we expect him to be back in practice next week, ready to go, and then Lavelle will be a day-to-day situation.
Jackie?
Sackett Wood had career high receptions today. What kind of he brings to the offense? Is it something that you guys seen at practice throughout the season?
Both the tight ends in that position right there, if you know philosophically, 11 personnel, offensive philosophy, those guys, they're critical. They're just as important as the quarterback, and really they're the glue that holds everything together. And when those guys can be effective in the passing game and give you that extra hat in the run game, it gives you a lot of flexibility so that you don't have to do a ton of personnel changes. But today we wanted to do some more personnel changes because we knew we were down the big 3, and we wanted to see if they could adjust and kind of keep them off balance. But to see Sackett come on and catch the ball and be consistent and look to run the score afterward. That's what I'd like to see today. Sometimes those guys want to catch the ball and I caught it, and I run with it. They want to fall down or look to go down or expect to get hit. But I thought today, he was playing with that competitive toughness that we all know that he has, and he came up big for us. He had some big plays in the course of the game, and we needed him to, considering the situation with the depth today.
Ed, then Jeff.
A couple of those timeouts in the second half on punts, is that something you wish you had back, especially the onside kick? Always having to go forward late?
You have to have those back. If you don't have a chance to win there at the end of the game. And I was really frustrated with that because that was just a lack of communication. And I got to do a better job with the staff because we got tons of checks and balances to make sure that we got everybody that we need. And, you know, Cohen got subbed out, and Cohen was playing multiple spots, and so there was a miscommunication, but we need to have more awareness on the sideline. And Cohen's got to have some more awareness too, to be able to communicate, you know, that he was subbed out to whoever his backup was, or if you're subbing out at another position, we just got to do a better job there. And those are costly, because if you have those 2 timeouts with 3 and some change on the game, you don't have to onside kick. You kick it deep, and then you have a chance to see if you can force a stop, and then make them drive the field or in the game. But when you have to go in the onside kick, the percentages of getting an onside kick are definitely not in your favor. But if you have 2 timeouts, it's a different decision.
Jeff and Mike.
You knew Carolina had a prolific offense, but did you think Downs would be as big a problem as he turned out to be
I
today?
did. I mean, Downs is as electric a young man as there is. I'm very familiar with his family. You know, his father is a college coach. He's got a younger brother that's a pretty good football player. No, but I knew, and to be honest, I was a little surprised that they didn't use him down the field more than what I saw on film. But he's dynamic, and the thought process there is, you know, when you start talking about spread no huddle offenses, you want to stretch horizontally and vertically. So when they got them big boys on the outside that can stretch it vertically, and you got Downs, right? He's a problem for anybody. So then now you got to try and play different coverages and roll coverages, and then now that makes you susceptible to being light in the box on the run. So I thought that there would just in general you'd use him more down the field, but man, they're getting a ton of production out of him, and he caught some balls, and luckily we were able to get him on the ground. I was worried that if you get him in space, he's hard to tackle, but a ton of respect for Downs, and I tell you what, the chemistry that you see between May and Downs, I mean, it's special. You know, it's special for a young quarterback to be on that same page, and you just watch. If you just watch the game within the game, you see the communication, the hand signals, the eye contact, you know, all those things that they're doing, that you know that they have a really, really good chemistry. And I think that gives that quarterback, you know, the confidence to be able to sit in the pocket, extend the play, because he knows he's got a safety valve sitting out there in the flats that if you get it to him, he breaks one tackle, it's a touchdown.
Mike and Greg.
You mentioned some of the guys had to step up and play that normally have smaller roles. Was it easier to get full buy-in on your offensive approach because it was those guys, you know what I mean? It's not guys who've had success at that, bunch of guys who were just gonna do what you told them and execute what you asked?
No, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think what you saw though is you know, one of the biggest challenges in football, and you've heard me say about building competitive depth, right? When a guy knows he's second string behind a really, really good player, does he come to practice every single day, right, trying to prepare like the starter? Probably not, you know, because just naturally they're young people and they got so many influences. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be ready, but I don't prepare like the starter, right? That's one of the challenges with backup quarterback. Everybody likes the backup quarterback till they get in there, right? Because when you're the starter, you prepare a different way. And so I think what you saw is you saw a different level of energy, excitement, right, and appreciation for those young guys that were given a chance to start. And now the challenge is going to be, can the older guys, right, say, okay, they now elevated the level of play. You know, if they're going to do that in my absence, then you know what, when I come back, I got to be ready to go. And that's something we've been, you know, trying to build. But you need opportunities, and if opportunity presents itself, and now hopefully that'll just drive that competitive nature in that room, so that everybody understands that we need everybody to be ready as if they're a starter, because again, you never know when you're going to be called upon 5-6 plays in a game that are going to make the difference.
We're going to take our last 2 questions from Greg and Preston.
The red zone stuff today was good for you guys on offense. I think you were perfect in red zone opportunities, scoring touchdowns. What was the difference, and how much of the O-line, I guess, has to be?
Yeah, I think what you saw is as I said, you saw all 3, you know, major groups. You know, the quarterback, the skill guys, and the guys up front. And if you watch in particular in the first half, man, they were creating running lanes. The backs were running hard, man. And when those guys can have success in the run game, you should see it when they come to the sideline, man. Noah Josie about took my arm off 3 times because they're so excited, they're so engaged in the game, and just what you saw is that chemistry, you know, working together, and that's really what the difference is. And if you watch, especially the first drive, man, it wasn't anything spectacular other than making the play required. You hit a hitch here, you run the ball, you stay ahead of the chains. Now you can be more aggressive on offense, but you're dictating the pace because you're not playing behind the chains. So when you can hand the ball off and get 4, it's a much easier call, you know, on 2nd and 6 than it is 2nd and 9. And then if you can run the ball, now you're not having to throw it every single down. you're not in your first and long, second and long, third and long situation. So I think it was just the guys excited to play, believing, you know, and that's a challenge because the last 2 weeks, you know, I've noticed there's a different level of energy, you know, and that's my job as the head coach to get these guys to understand it's not a logo. You know, you can't play to a logo. You know, everybody's going to be excited to play in a rivalry game. You know, it's Miami, it's the U, right? But we got to have that kind of focus, that kind of preparation, that kind of intensity every single week. Or what's going to happen is you're going to practice bad habits. And I challenge the team because on Wednesday, late in practice, I saw a little bit of a fixed mindset, you know, come in. I got after the team. And now, you know, there's evidence like, okay, this is why we gotta stamp out any complacency, right? And we gotta continue to focus on our competitive stamina because when we have a fixed mindset, we're giving away 5, 6, 7 plays, and right now we're not good enough to overcome giving away those plays.
Preston with the last question.
Yeah, you and Kitchen both talked about that competitive stamina.
Mhm.
What does that mean, and how do you improve that?
Compete no matter what the situation is, right? So when you talk about competitive stamina, it's always about the next play being my best play, right? And so if I have a bad play, all right, good. It's a learning opportunity, it's the next play. If I have a good play, right, good. Stay humble, it's the next play. Doesn't matter what's on the scoreboard, doesn't matter who you're, what the conditions are around you, you just compete, right? And you compete to the best of your ability. And you're slowly starting to see, you know, that really take root, you know, within the program. And that's why it hurts, because I want those guys to taste some success, right? Because success breeds, you know, more buy-in, more belief. But also, too, I understand, as I told the guys in the locker room, that adversity is necessary. It's building of the character. And we're focusing on trying to establish the core values in not just words, but becoming values in each and every individual in the organization. And we got plenty of good to look at, stay humble with, and then plenty of opportunity of growth going forward.